Hey y'all, welcome to the start of another weekly reading vlog. So as per usual, I attempt, anytime I do a weekly reading vlog, to read the books that I picked out for my TBR jar prompts. Except that I have been going through this basically existential crisis with my reading in the last few days, wondering, do I even actually like reading anymore? I've come down to the conclusion that I just need to mood read. I think I've been way too structured with my TBRs lately, and when I was trying to read the books for Summerween, I had previously been so excited when I set up my TBR. Then when we got around to the time where I actually had to read those books, I just had no interest in them at all. I had this whole thing where I was like, oh my god, do I even still like horrors? Do I still like thrillers? Can I enjoy a mystery at all anymore? Or have I ruined myself and I only do fantasies and romance now? It was a whole thing. It was very dramatic. Like I said, I think I've just come to the decision that I have to mood read, and maybe that'll help me out a little bit. Currently, I'm still in the middle of Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I feel like I've talked about this in so many videos lately because it's long, it's pretty heavy at times. There's a lot of fantasy stuff going on, so it takes me a while to work through because I have to process everything that's going on, and it's confusing. I'm still working through that. I think I'm probably 70% in now, which is a fair amount. And then I've also been listening to the audiobook of, what's it called? 𝗖cie RH/𝗁 by Mia P. Manansala. This is the second in the Tita Rosie's Mysteries? Tita Rosie's Kitchen Mysteries? Something like that. It's a cozy mystery series. I just thought this will work well. I had gone back and forth on if I wanted to continue the series, but I just was in the mood for another cozy mystery and decided, why not? We're gonna go with this one. Basically, we're once again following Leela and her family. Now she and her best friend are setting up a cafe. She's dealing with the drama of being responsible for the pastry aspect of the cafe, and yet she has no real inspiration for her baking. That's one aspect that I feel like is very small potatoes in comparison to the other part of the story where she is going to be a judge for a beauty pageant that her town is putting on. She wasn't really super happy about this, but she was a prior winner, which is really the only reason she was picked to be a judge. And then one of the other judges, sort of sleazy guy, was really rich, ends up dying, of course. Leela and the second judge find his body, and now they're involved in the mystery, getting all wrapped up in that. I don't feel particularly strong about it one way or another. The audiobook is kind of weird in that the narrator talks just so upbeat and bubbly, even when, they're discussing murder. To be fair, with cozy mysteries, there are serious crimes being discussed, but they're kind of handled with a lot of levity than a traditional mystery, but the tone of the writing just really doesn't fit with the seriousness of the events, and so it's really strange. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I do think the author does a phenomenal job at describing food. Oh my god, everything Leela eats, I want to eat. Anyway, so that's all I got for y'all right now. I have no idea what my reading is going to look like this week. My parents are out of town, so Josh is actually going to be staying with me for a few days. That means either I will get not a lot of reading done or a lot of reading done. I'm continuing to move stuff over to the new house. I cannot move the animals this week because my dog, Faith, who is sitting right next to me, is super attached to my dad, and he is already out of town, so I really don't want to move her and totally freak her out. Do you want to say hi to the people? Hello. Hello, my beautiful peeps. So, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna be honest, I just totally forgot to film an update yesterday. Josh and I went grocery shopping after work, and then we came home, I made dinner, and then we vegged. I was so tired. Today I went to work. It was pretty chill, very calm. I'm really glad for it. And now I'm home. I've been doing a few productive things. I've got some laundry in the wash. I took out the trash in the recycling. I just finished filming a video, and now I'm gonna film this update, then go to put away the clean dishes and start on dinner. Oh, I also went and got my hair done today, so got new roots. All back in style again. I do have reading things to talk to y'all about. Continued into 𝗖𝗁 the 9th, and oh my god. I think I have like around 70 pages left in the actual book portion. There's like additional bits at the end of these books. I have read a little bit further. I'm definitely in the midst of the climax right now. Things are getting crazy. There are dual perspectives in this book where we have one that is in second person and then we have another which is in third person. And I had theories as to why each of those are being told in that way. I was not correct about the third person one. I sort of was. Like, I guessed an element of it. As for the second person, I was 100% correct. Still so proud of myself. My friend Molly said she was even a little impressed with me that I figured it out. 𝗖𝗁 is going through it. She is dealing with a lot of crap. I am so engaged that I would not be surprised if I end up finishing this tonight, because it is a freaking ride. It is so good. Oh my god, it's so good. I told y'all I'm gonna have to mood read for this video, and I really am thinking on whether or not I want to automatically continue into 𝗖𝗁, because I have that one next. But I really think I need to take a little bit of a break. That's 2 long, heavy sci-fi fantasies back to back, and I think I need a little space between them. And I mean more than just a manga, because one way or another I will be reading a manga. I need to get on this. Oh wait, no, I won't be reading a manga. I'll be reading a comic book, because I literally have only 1 comic left, and then I will complete my Ms. Marvel run. So I have to do that, not a manga. Anyway, while I was working on being productive in things, I finished out 𝗖𝗁 and 𝗖𝗁. I don't know how to feel about this. I was wanting a cozy mystery, and this did give me the feelings that I wanted from it. I wasn't super invested in the mystery, but I didn't guess what happened either, so I guess that was a good twist. However, I just don't really like Leela as main character. She's judgmental. It feels like she jumps to conclusions a lot, and I think honestly, a big reason I don't really like her is due to her interpersonal issues going on in the series. Like, there's just way too much drama in like the friends, the family, the love interests, all of that crap, and I don't care about it. There's a love triangle that was instituted in the first book that I didn't care about then. I didn't care about it now either. I don't feel strong about either of these love interests at all. There's her cousin who she's had this very weird competitive relationship for all of their lives, but they're adults now, and yet they're both still like clinging onto this, and it just feels really childish. She has a love-hate relationship with all of her aunties because on one hand they love her, they support her, they're there for her, but at the same time they constantly nitpick at her and they really cause her to have issues with her self-esteem. She's still having some weird drama with her best friend that I don't even really get why there's drama in the first place. She is dealing with PTSD off of the events from the previous book. Clearly, she has some unresolved mother issues. Oh my, there was just so much going on in this book, and it's not even 300 pages. So on that note, I don't know if I'm going to continue with this series or not. Watch, I'm going to say no, and then eventually I'll pick up the next one. I think it's just because they're cozy mysteries, so they're like really easy to blast through in no time. They take no mental effort to read, which is great. I now don't have an audiobook, but I'm so close to finishing 𝗖𝗁 that I don't really want to pick up another audiobook. Not yet, at least. Like I was saying, my goal is to finish 𝗖𝗁 tonight, and then if I can, maybe Ms. Marvel Volume 10. And then honestly, I'm throwing around the idea of doing like a try a chapter challenge, because I have no idea what I want to pick up next. my beautiful peoples. It is Wednesday, right? I think it's Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. So I've gotten home from work, and guess what? I officially finished Harrow. I did not do it last night, but I finished it today while I was having lunch. That book was crazy. Holy crap, was it crazy. It was insane. I don't know what else to say other than just, it was crazy. Everything that happened at the end, I was like, do I actually understand what's happening? I think I do. I'm fairly certain I have understood everything now that I've like talked it out with my friend Molly. Also, I'm preparing a marinade right now. That's what I'm doing, and I thought I'd do this while I talk to y'all. But it was crazy. I like can't even go into any specifics because everything is just like spoiler territory. I love these characters. I love them dearly. Freaking wild time, but I loved it. I did an official compile breakdown, and I finally, guys, it has been so long. I finally had a 5-star. So good, because this entire experience reading this book was insane, but I was so invested the entire way through. Even though I was constantly super confused, I had to keep going. It wasn't just that. I really enjoyed the characters. I've really come to care about them. I want to see them be okay. I want to figure out what is like the final end game. At this point, like, I don't know who I'm cheering for and who I'm cheering against. But yeah, I finally finished Harrow today. Was thinking on it, and I do believe I do want to still do a, what's it called? Like a try a chapter challenge, I think. I figured out what books I'm gonna do for it. 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, Little Eve by Catriona Ward, Sisters of the Lost Tribe by Nick Medina, The Guncle by Stephen Rowley, and Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. I think that's the 5 that I'm gonna try and do a try a chapter challenge with. So with that, I have a bunch of like little chores I need to get done around the house so that I can start listening to some of those. I think I can do the audio of Sisters of the Lost Tribe and Little Eve. I might do it for 9 Liars, but I don't know if that's gonna work. There's like 9 people in the past perspective, and I'm very concerned that I am once again just gonna totally confuse all of them. So I think that one I will have to do physically. The other 2 I will also have to read physically because both of those were annotated by my friends, and that means I am supposed to go through and annotate them as well. But at the very least, I can get 2 of them knocked out while I'm working on chores. Really, the only criteria I'm gonna grade them on or rank them on, I guess, is entry for this book based on this single chapter. And we'll see how that goes because it's been a hot minute since I've done one of these. So that's my plans for the rest of the evening. What you cannot see is, as I said, I'm making a marinade. It's like honey mustard with garlic. And then I'm gonna make a chicken salad, essentially, with this as both the marinade and the dressing. It is delicious. This was one of my go-to recipes in college. Tonight is the last night Joshua will be staying with me because my parents get back tomorrow, so life will return to slightly normal whenever I'm home. Here's hoping that I may perhaps finish a 3rd book. That'd be really great if I could. Actually make me feel like I'm being semi-productive, seeing as how I looked at my journal and realized, my God, this has been a very slow reading month in comparison to the last few months. So I finished chapter 1 of Sisters of the Lost Tribe, Lost Nation. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Lost Tribe. I'd put it at like a 3. I don't know, as far as like a horror book goes, this wasn't the strongest first chapter. To be fair, I think it was more of like an introduction prologue sort of chapter, and then it shifts into part 1. I was a little bit intrigued. It seems we're following a girl who lives on a reservation, and apparently recently multiple bodies have been dug up on that reservation and found to have pieces missing. So that is a little bit interesting. I think the atmosphere work was pretty strong, but it definitely just, it didn't really tickle the taste buds. You know what I'm saying? Next, I'm gonna listen to Little Eve. We'll see if that one goes any better. Technically, I actually listened to like 13% of this book previously, but I really don't remember any of it. So I'm gonna restart. again. So it's actually a few hours later, but I did finish listening to the first chapter of Little Eve by Catriona Ward, and I do think this one went better. I would probably estimate my like intrigue on this around a 4-star. Pretty strong, honestly. It is set in like 1917 Scotland. I was smarter this time and actually slowed down the speed of the audiobook because the narrator has a Scottish accent, so I couldn't really very well understand her when I listened to it the first time at a higher speed. I went down to 1.8 and that definitely helped. I feel like I actually absorbed everything a lot better. But we are following this guy who lives in this small town. He is taking a slab of meat to a customer that he has that lives in this castle, and he gets there and he basically finds the inhabitants of the castle laid out in this like very reminiscent to a ritual sacrifice positioning, and a lot of them are missing eyeballs. One guy is missing a thumb, and there is one person who is actually from the town, not this weird family. Then one of them turns out to be slightly alive. So yeah, we're following the events of that, and then we're actually also seeing through the eyes of that survivor. And then there was like a little clip of, I think, a letter or something. I don't know. This isn't so much chapters. It feels like it's more parts because I checked out the time breakdown for the next chapters, and after this one, it was like 2 hours for the next chapter. So I think it's more of a part breakdown, and that's why there are the different perspectives going on within a single chapter. Intrigue on this one was very strong. This is definitely winning out so far. I think I am going to try and read the first chapter of 9 Liars again. There's also multiple maps in this. Oh, well, I guess technically these are more like blueprints, and then there's a map of the grounds of this house, which is interesting. If it's not too bad, perhaps I will try one of the chapters of the other books. We'll see. We'll figure it out. I'll do that in the morning if I don't do it tonight. So I read the first chapter of 9 Liars again. I do think I have a better understanding of the 9 characters now that I actually physically read it. I could take more time with it and try and picture each of them in my brain, and they're driving in 2 separate cars, so like I also could kind of like segment them out a little bit, which I don't know why that helped me, but it did. If I were to rate purely on this chapter alone, probably get a 2, just because there wasn't really a lot in regards to like mystery. It just seems like it's going to be drama filled and revolving around like interpersonal issues because of dynamic of the group. But at the same time, I have read further into this. I'm technically at page 40 when I read this with my friends, and I do know things get a little bit more interesting. So if I rated it based on that, I think my intrigue would probably be at like a 3.5. I'm just gonna do by chapter because it's fair. So by chapter, this is a 2. This is at the bottom right now. I'm not quite asleep yet, so why not? Let's try Into Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. Okay, so I changed my mind and ended up reading the first chapter of The Guncle, which was a prologue, because the first chapter of Nothing to See Here is like 40 pages long. So I was like, no, we're not doing that tonight. But this was pretty good. It was very adorable. It did that thing where you start at the end of the story and then you finish that part and it's like 6 weeks earlier. I have a love-hate relationship with that sort of thing, but honestly, on the whole, it's pretty cute. I'm invested already. I want to see more. I like the dynamic between the uncle and his 2, like, they're not his biological niece and nephew, but let's say niece and nephew. I think I'd put this at like a 4 because I want to know where things are gonna go. It's very sweet. It also just made me feel the happiest. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is a 4. I don't know if this is quite beating out Little Eve though. Hello, so it is Thursday morning. So, okay, I read the first chapter of Nothing to See Here this morning, and I like it. I don't know if my intrigue is higher for this than it was for the Guncle. I feel like because I read so much of this already, I'm already settled into the story. Like, we're following our main character who was best friends with this girl. They were roommates at a boarding school, essentially. She ended up taking the fall for her friend and unfortunately got kicked out because of it. And now her friend is asking that she be the nanny for her friend's stepchildren. Like, the main element with that's the big issue is the stepkids burst into flames anytime they throw a tantrum, which is a lot, obviously. I mean, taking care of 2 10-year-olds is one thing, but like 10-year-olds who explode, not great. If I'm being completely honest, like I said, I think my intrigue was higher for the Guncle, but I've already read like 40 pages of this and it's not very long. So I think I might just keep pushing through because I'm liking it well enough. I mean, I would have said my intrigue was at like a 3, but I just feel so settled in the world already. So I think I'm gonna take this with me. And then for my audiobook, I think I'm gonna try and continue Little Eve. We'll see how that goes in regards to like when I'm listening to it as I drive, because the narrator, her voice is like a lot quieter. So that doesn't work great when I'm driving all the time. But I think since I slowed down the speed, that will probably help me. I'm not sure. We'll see if that works. I finally figured out something I want to read. Hello, darlings. It is Thursday night, but I realized I should give you more of an actual update today, mostly because my copy of Harrow came in and I'm so happy about it. I did get a little bit more read into Little Eve by Catcher in a Word, and I'm continuing to enjoy this. I think the author did a phenomenal job with the atmosphere in this. Like, I definitely feel like I'm on an isle in Scotland. It's 1917. It's creepy. It is unsettling. I think I've sort of figured out what this cult basis is. It seems like rather than worshiping Christian God, they worship like the serpent. I don't know if maybe there's a tie-in to perhaps Scottish mythology or like paganism with that, or if it is directly to Christianity, because obviously since they worship the serpent, it's a direct correlation to the major religion in Scotland, and that kind of makes the entire family more of outsiders. They have nobody else that they can really rely on. Everybody just stays within the confines of this family, even though the children go to school. I thought, apart from the leader character, Uncle, I really thought that everybody else in the family was children. But no, there are 2 women who are adults, and then we have 4 kids. Little Eve is the one whose eyes we see through during this time period the most. Occasionally we will see through the eyes of Dinah, which is, I think, the next oldest after Eve. I believe it goes Abel, Dinah, Eve, Elizabeth. Dinah was the lone survivor of whatever ending this cult had, and so sometimes we'll see through her perspective in the future, and it's weird. I don't really have a hold on anything that's happening there because we only really saw like maybe 15 minutes of it. Eve, though, is like really devout. She thinks she is going to be the one who succeeds in becoming one with the snake. I guess I don't really know how to describe it. It's really weird. I think I'm roughly about where I stopped the last time, but I'm better understanding what's going on this time around. My parents got back tonight. I spent the evening at my brother's, though. We had Indian, which was delicious. My nephew was obsessed with this little fort castle that his mom made him, and it was very, very adorable, as per usual. And then, like I said, my friend sent me her copy of Harrow, and that came in today, and y'all, I have to talk about this because this was so freaking cute. It almost made me cry. She did a little piece to go with it. Thank you, Molly. I love you. She actually has a webtoon, so I'll put a link to that in the description. You should definitely go follow her. Obviously, we have Gideon and Harrow, and it's so cute. I love it. I can't decide if I want to keep it in the book or if I want to put it in my journal. I'm not sure. I just love the entire aesthetic of these books. Like, look at these end pages. They're stunning, and I love the blue. And then we have the official Ninth House skull on the front. I did attempt to try and transfer over some of my annotations, but guess what? Apparently my library app deleted a lot of my annotations, and I have no idea how to get them back, which makes me incredibly sad. So I have a few in here. I reached out to my librarian, and he is gonna put in a request to the support team for the app. We'll see if I can get them back. I really hope so, because This is a really chunky book that I read, and I had so many notes. It's also weird, just like you can tell it didn't like delete evenly, because there's some here in the middle and then there's a bunch at the end, which is so strange. Hey gorgeous people. So it's Saturday. I totally forgot to update yesterday because honestly after I came back from work I just lazed around with my parents. I got like barely any reading done yesterday. I got a little bit further into Little Eve and I officially started into the last volume of Miss Marvel. The first issue is really weird because it's like Kamala's trying to have a sleepover with her friends, but superhero stuff keeps distracting. It felt really terribly paced, and then also the art style was just like really different in comparison to majority of the rest of the series, so that was strange. This morning though, I was nice and lazy for the first hour or so, and I got another chapter, read into Nothing to See Here. I'm continuing to enjoy the annotation process of this. I forgot how much fun it is to see what my friends annotate versus like things I point out and comment on. I actually think Wilson's character work of our main character is pretty well done so far, in that a lot of the things she's doing, feeling, how she's like commentating stuff in her brain, it just feels like very relatable, and so because of that I'm really enjoying this character. She realizes how weird this situation is, but at the same time she's kind of just trying to make the best of it, and that's fair, honestly. It's really weird because she's like a normal person and she's suddenly being thrust into the life of a really rich person, and I love seeing that like uneasiness of trying to figure out how are you supposed to act and what you're supposed to say, how you react to people. On one hand, I feel like the child character we've seen so far, Timothy, he's cute. I like seeing their interactions, but it's commented that he's 3, and I literally have a nephew who is 3, and I can tell you my nephew would not be saying or doing things quite like this. I don't think that's like the most accurate or realistic. I guess to be fair, in this world there are also going to be 2 other kids who burst into flames. I guess I shouldn't really say anything if maybe this 3-year-old just happens to be like a genius. So yeah, on the whole, I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna be taking this with me to Josh's, and perhaps I might get a little bit more read. The chapters are really long, so I feel like this is gonna be one of those books where I only pick it up when I have time to really sit down and read for a hot minute. I read 2 or 3 more issues into my Miss Marvel volume this morning. I do like what we're seeing so far. Basically, she and Bruno are trying to figure out the science behind her powers, because she is able to embiggen and shrink herself, but Bruno doesn't really understand how that works in regards to like the physics of it. Plus, I think the villain character that they ended up having her go against for this is really interesting because it's somebody different. It is somebody she's never gone up against, and 9 times out of 10 he is usually fighting against Spider-Man, so that was just fun. He's also one of those who has really great banter with Spider-Man. I am like maybe an hour short of the halfway point in Little Eve, and I think I'm really starting to enjoy this. Very gothic feels. It's definitely showing the time period a lot more as I've gotten into it, but we're also seeing more and more of this cult's everyday life and how being in this cult is so unhealthy for these children, how they're treated differently, and better understanding also what their beliefs are. I do think I was correct when I last spoke to y'all that it seems like they sort of worship the snake. Again, I'm not really sure if it directly correlates to Christianity or like a Scottish folklore thing. We've also heard mentions of the World War that is currently taking place, and I have a theory about the relationship between like what's happening in the story, one of the characters, and war. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but I'm curious. I'm starting to put things together. It's still weird. It definitely feels like it's Catcher in a Ward's writing style, but I'm liking it. We're doing pretty good so far. As you can see, my desk is gone. I basically like officially finished with everything in the house in terms of like getting flooring done, restoring certain things and changing other things. I think all that's handled, and now it's just a matter of like moving my stuff over. So I am determined to get on top of this. So I have this section done. Then we're gonna shift over here. I'm not gonna do my clothes just yet. I'm not moving the animals probably for another week or so. Faith has a surgery coming up, so I don't want to move her until after she's recovered from that. Anyway, that is it for now. I'm going to be going over to Josh's. We are going out to dinner with his family, might have a bit of a game night. I honestly might talk to y'all again tomorrow. I might not. I'm not really sure. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this vlog.